Hi, Riff.
Hi, Kylie.
Hello. Hi, I'm going to ask you 5 questions today, okay?
Oh,
All right. So the first question will be, what do you do and how long have you worked in hospitality?
well, I'm currently employed at an international hotel chain based in Dubai, and I'm currently working as the club lounge manager and the guest relations manager. I've been a part of the industry for the last 9 years.
Mm, Wow. Okay. What drew you into the industry? What drew you into hospitality?
Well, I would actually say, Kylie, it runs in the family. Well, my father had his own catering at a certain point, and then I've also had immediate family members who's always been a part of the industry.
Mm,
But hospitality it actually came into my life as an accident. I was interning at an institute as a student counselor, and then this institute was actually facilitating a course in hospitality.
mhm,
Now the preparations, the researches that the students did inspired me so much that post completion of college,
mhm,
I'd actually graduated in a diploma in journalism and mass communication. So without making a career out of what I'd actually studied and worked hard for, uh, the amount of preparations that were done by the students sort of brought in this curiosity in me that I decided to intern and see as to what hospitality is. What interested me the most was I'd always known the glitz and the glamour in the industry, but there was something curious in me that I really wanted to know what happens behind the scenes. So that's what something that I would say that actually grew me into the field of hospitality down the line.
Okay, that's interesting. So, you've experienced the glitz and the glory now, and what about the down and dirty? What have you found out of your
Well,
curiosity?
down and dirty isn't as glossy as how it appears to be from the outside. But then again, I would say it's actually the teamwork, the hard effort that's put into making somebody's experience memorable
Mhm.
is what gives you the satisfaction at the end of the day. So no matter how dirty it is at the back end, together I'm sure it's a wonderful experience. I
That's
mean, to
so
be at the back of the scene again is something amazing.
that is amazing. I love that. I love that about hospitality too.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, since you have experienced so much in the last 9 years, I would like you to share a story of the most memorable incident at work for you.
Well, now talking about the most memorable incident in my life, I would probably put it this way. So, I had a period of work back home where I hail from, which is Sri Lanka. So, I was employed at an international organization back there.
Hmm.
So, I was appointed to be taking care of, to be this responsible sort of individual to be taking care of two international cricket teams. So during this period, I was actually the one point contact for all sorts of queries. And one fine day, I get this call from BBC. And then I was amazed. So the BBC Radio Network got in touch with me and they said, so we have this radio podcast, which is all based about sports. And we'd like you to do some arrangements on behalf of us, where we'd be having a conversation with one of the world-renowned cricketers. And as a part of the show, we'd like you to stay outside the room of airs and then take this bottle of champagne, sort of pop it, because they were sort of celebrating an occasion out there along with the cricketer.
Hmm.
So now, me being the true hotelier, I got it all done along with the help of the team. And then we walked down the corridor. And then the moment I received the signal from one of the production assistants of the show, we sort of had, rang the bell of his room. And then I walked in. Now, I was in for a surprise that little did I know that the moment I walked into the room of this cricketer, he's probably going to be handing over the microphone and the headphone to me, saying that the BBC, the radio podcast, they'd like to have sort of a word with you and go live on air. I was like, what? And that sort of, shook me. I mean, nobody on earth would, wish or hope that, yeah, I mean, you just randomly go live on BBC. So,
Yeah.
and then I had amazing witty conversation with the host of the podcast, and then he'd thrown some really challenging questions at me, wanting to know how does it feel to be in the room of a cricketer, so on and whatnot. It was some really great. It was a wonderful conversation I had. So that actually turned out to be memorable. So now, what am I heading towards is that months after this conversation is when I was actually on my notice period at my previous workplace back home. We had this tragic Easter bomb attack. So post that, I'd actually flown to Dubai. So after a couple of weeks, so when I'd just begun to settle, I'd got my email, and I just sat down in front of the computer. I was taken aback to be seeing emails from the vice president of the organization that I'm employed for, the general manager from my previous workplace, and a guest who had actually written this really lengthy email to me wanting to know about my whereabouts and my well being. Now, we as hoteliers, Kylie, we go out of our way to be doing things to guests. But this was probably one of those moments in my life where I'd experienced a guest had gone out of his way to be checking up on me. Now, how did it work was this guest had actually been one of the listeners of the podcast show that I'd done with the cricketer back in the day. So he who had heard me on the podcast had contacted the vice president of the brand that I'm working for, who had then contacted the general manager of the hotel where I'd been working for. And that's when they all connected and they got through to me. And then post confirming about the well-being, the general manager was actually kind enough to speak good about me, about how I'd been of assistance to the previous brand that I was with, previous hotel that I was with. And all that was recorded and then it was resent to the BBC. And there you go, there was a documentary about me that went live on air in a podcast on BBC, and that was a moment. I mean, that'll always probably be a moment that I'll cherish all my life, Kylie. I mean, it's not something that would happen with anyone and everyone. Let's agree to it. I mean, BBC. I mean, that's a moment that'll really be special to me all my life long.
That is a very, very, very um, surprising and touching story. I think,
Actually, I mean, it's a very surprising story. And
yes.
then, I mean, never did I dream of something of this sort to happen with me. But
Yep.
then, I'd say these are fond memories of me being part of the industry.
Can I ask you a question? Are you a big fan of cricket?
Certainly not. Now, that's what is really surprising. I did not even know who were the cricketers that I was dealing with. But then again, I mean, to be handling it on a very close personal level was a great experience, I would say. I mean, it had actually taken 24/7 of my time. For 2 months, I was accommodated within the premises of the hotel to be taking care of the boys. And then, I
Yeah.
mean, I was probably like the guardian to be looking after. And then,
Ah,
and then I mean, you know how exciting I could be as a person, as an individual, and I just
yeah,
loved all the preparations that I had to do to be looking after them. So
that is
that's one
fantastic.
that's one experience I'll cherish all my life long.
That is amazing. Well, thanks for sharing that story. It's really touching. I mean, there are a lot of heart-wrenching parts of that story as well that's embedded, but then, the memories we take with us is, something that is going to be imprinted for the rest of our lives.
Very
I'm
true, very
I'm
true.
glad there's a silver lining at some point of this memory. And of course, to the victims and whatever that happened in Easter, we always keep them in our hearts. Yeah.
True. In our
Yeah,
hearts and our prayers.
definitely. Whoa, that was a big one.
I know it was
Okay.
indeed a very big one.
I know, but I'm really glad that you shared the story, and it's really beautiful. Um, okay, let's move on to the next question. I think this is one question that will be nice and challenging for you as well. So, I would like to ask, what is one thing you would like to keep in this industry, and one thing you would like to change for the future of the industry?
Well, I'd say if there's one thing that I'd like to keep in the industry, that would be actually, Kylie, that, you know, uh, the digitalized guest experience, how I would say, the entire tech explosion that's happening right now, along with the human touch in the industry. I mean, from the part of the world that I come from, technology is still developing and it's still booming day by day. So to be going in hand along with the human touch and the experience that we'd begun to allow the guest experience, that's something that I'd like to retain and make sure that the human value, the touch, the warmth, and the technology that's booming, the blend of these two together is something that I'd like to retain lifelong, not wanting to eliminate either one. But if there's one thing that I'd actually like to perhaps change within the industry, would be as to, Kylie, that I still feel as an individual that millennials in the day aren't actually given the amount of opportunity that they actually do deserve. Like as a growing up, I'm a very young budding hotelier. Uh, there's every now and then I put myself in challenging situations, wanting to know and see if there's a brand out there who'd like to, make me a part of them. But somewhere down the line, the age factor or the experience factor kicks in. If there's something that I'd like for the industry to perhaps change or look at outside and beyond, would be that this word experience has to be eliminated. Experience is not all, kindly. I would say that people coming in, the millennials are embedded naturally or they're inbuilt naturally with a lots of creative ideas. So if they would look upon this word experience and then start putting in trust and belief uh, in individuals who are probably willing to give in their best, I would probably like, HR experts to be looking beyond the word experience at some point and then
Mm-hmm.
start believing in trusting designations that has gravity, like big designations. Why not? Why can I not fit into the shoes or the boots of a director of rooms? I can. I mean, if I'm confident enough, then I think everyone deserves an opportunity in his or her life to be proving that you actually can do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I'm hearing here is that, Riff, you feel that perhaps the progression maybe too hierarchical in a sense where like it really takes the number
Okay.
of years, like you would have to fulfill, let's say,
True,
5 years to be a
true,
duty
true.
manager, and then 10 years to be like a front office manager, and then
Why?
15 years to be a
Why?
director of rooms. Yeah, and that
Correct. I
that
think we really need to eliminate that sort of experience, sort of a guideline that comes along with an inbuilt hierarchy. I think
yeah.
that should really be eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd be lying if I'd say I was a duty manager when I was 21 years, soon after
Mm-hmm.
college, soon after I completed my management training.
Yeah.
That's because there was a certain brand back in the day who believed in my talent and not with the experience that I probably would have not been carrying at that point of time. And I'd always be grateful for giving me that opportunity. And then thereafterwards, and still, I'm still here, but then again, nevertheless, I'd still believe that there are more millennials, there are more youngsters out there who are equally talented as me, who are not given the opportunity only because of this word hierarchy and experience that comes along
Mhm.
the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, okay, that's quite interesting. Then, maybe I'll have a little follow-up question here. So, what qualities do you think, should people be judged on if it's not experience or hierarchy? What specific quality?
Positivity,
Mm-hmm. What else?
positivity, can do attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And if an individual is willing to take up challenges down the line in his or her way, I think that itself is enough as a quality for him or her to be entrusted with any sort of, I mean, be it anything. There's no job which is smaller or bigger, kind. So if I mean, you can actually put in skills in an individual, but not an attitude that is positive, that comes within and that's inbuilt. Irrespective the race, gender, nationality, where he hails or where she hails from, if the individual has within themselves that I can drive, it's the driving force that just does it all for anyone and everyone. So if I am ever given the opportunity to be looking out for individuals of this sort, I'd literally have an organization of my own only full of such people, because you can train them for skills, but you cannot train them for attitude.
So I really wish you the very best, and I really want to see you in the position to groom and empower people the way you wish that you would be.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. I mean, I'd love to be grooming in people, because I mean, I'd like to be, probably be out there and be this helping force or helping hand to people who are wanting to grow, who are wanting to, make something out of themselves. I mean, there's no pleasure of, helping or assisting anybody else. That's why we are tenants. So
And
yeah,
that's why we're in
perhaps.
hospitality as well, isn't it?
True, 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 true.
Great. Okay, so actually, we're going to come to the last question of today. And this is actually one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite questions to ask anybody. So, what is your one
That's
word core value that you emulate in your daily work and life?
one word core value. Okay. So if there's one word core value that I always believed in and I would always believe, that
Mm,
would be sincerity, because uh, sincerity would actually, help you fulfill and do anything and everything that you want. If you're sincere, it's always said and believed that success would always follow you. So just be honest in whatever you're doing, and then you are just going to be great thereafter. Because if there's no honesty, there's no ethics, there's no principle, there's no guidelines. So there's nothing of this sort if you're not sincere to whatever you're doing, be it on your daily chores or daily routine or whatsoever, or be it at work. Just be honest and sincere. That's all what matters.
that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for your time, Riff. Thanks for being
You
here
are
with us.
most welcome, Heidi. I'm
I'm gonna
more than happy to be a part of this. And thank you so much for making me a part of this.
thank you.